Hey guys, Serafita here, and sorry, long time no video. I know life's gotten crazy, whatever. So there's this new thing on the market called Clear Worbla, and a lot of you who are cosplayers know Worbla is like the go-to material for making armor, props, things like that. You know, you cover it with lots of gesso or wood glue, or sometimes Bondo if you're feeling really adventurous and have a lot more time. But they have this new thing, Clear Worbla. Whee! It's all shiny and clear. So I bought a sample size. I cut out a little square for the video. And another cosplayer, Fallier Cosplay, I'm sorry if I mispronounce it, also recommended Pet G, which is also a vacuum form plastic. So some of you might not know what Pet G is. So brought up the wiki page. Here's a little bit about it. Pet G is polyethylene terephthalate. I whatever. I don't know how to pronounce it. It is the most common thermoplastic polymer resin in the polyester family, and it's used on like clothing, containers, thermoforming for manufacturing, things like vacuum forming. And so there was a lot of speculation when Clear Worbla was announced that it was actually Pet G. And so I decided, well, okay, maybe I can find a, cheap piece of it online or something. And so I got a piece that was actually 12 inches by 24 inches for a little under $9 through Amazon. And I, of course, ordered the sample size of the Clear Worbla from cosplaysupplies.com for about 3 times the price. First difference that I noticed between the two is the Pet G is a little bit thinner, not quite so bendy before you shape it. And the Clear Worbla kind of looks like, the old stained glass, not stained glass, old glass that kind of like melts if you go into like really, really old houses that haven't been updated, things like that. You see them mostly around New England and the northeast of the US. But that was one thing I really noticed. Like, this isn't as clear. It looks a little blurry versus the Pet G. They have about the same shine though. And the Pet G is a little bit thinner than the Worbla, not too much. So that is the first difference between the two. And then I decided to heat form both of them using skulls from my Sylvanas costume from BlizzCon last year on day 2. This is how the Clear Worbla came out. Granted, I probably shouldn't have used a cheap plastic Halloween decoration because it did melt a little bit under the heat. But as you can see, it shaped it pretty well. Not too much definition. I did have to push in the eyes and the nose sockets and a little bit along the sides myself while I was heat forming it. There's not much definition in the teeth either. And as you can see, it also kept some of its flexibility, which is okay, but when you're making something like a piece of armor or whatever, that might not be a good idea, especially if you put it in the trunk of your car. On a really, really hot day, it is going to melt and it will unshape. And I mean, this will eventually probably break if, I bend it enough like that. So I'm just going to put that aside for now. But this is how it came out. It was pretty easy to work with. It did get a little bit hot because you do have to heat this up to 250 degrees with your heat gun. Most heat guns, I think, will go that high, so that's not too much of a problem. Obviously, sculpting tools are going to make this a lot easier, especially if, you're recreating a shape from something else. It'll be easier to press down for all the detailing. And then I did the same thing with the Pet G, using my second skull. This one I found actually easier to shape. I didn't actually have to press down at all, and as you can see, I got really nice definition in the eye sockets and in the nose. I even got a little bit more definition in the teeth, which was pretty cool. Obviously not as much flexibility. I think that if you're going to make something based off of the shape of something else, Pet G might be what you want to go with, especially if you're going to be wearing it in the middle of summer and you don't want it to melt. So yeah, they're both going to have their pros and cons. I personally will most likely be working with the Pet G for my BlizzCon costume this year. Well, not the costume itself, but the prop. Anyway, it also, as you can see, keeps more of its transparency than, let's see if I can get this back off the skull, there we go, than the Clear Worbla. This is the Clear Worbla. Yeah, sorry about the glare, but it's just, as you can see, it's still a little, kind of not quite so clear, especially up at the top. Actually, it might be easier to see it this way. No, maybe not. Okay. Just some of that I know is residual plastic from the skull that I had painted, versus this one, which stays really nice and clear. Like I mentioned before, Pet G is a vacuum form plastic. This is also what your plastic bottles are made out of. So it might actually also be more environmentally friendly depending on, you know, which plastic bottles use this plastic. But yes, it's also probably partially going to be a matter of personal preference between the two. I personally like saving a lot of money, so I will be continuing to order the Pet G. You can get a 12 by 24 inch piece on Amazon for $8 something. Yes, $8 and something cents with free Prime shipping. So that for me is a huge, huge benefit. It's like, hey, I'm a Prime member, so I can get this, you know, free shipped and everything. It's going to be a little bit more stable. I haven't tried painting it yet. I know that cosplaysupplies.com and worbla.com are working on a series of videos with experiments on what you can do with Clear Worbla. I've seen that you can paint it, you can dye it. I don't know if you can dye Pet G. I will try that if people want. I imagine you can definitely paint it. I don't see why you couldn't. Just go out, have fun, have a ball, try it out. Leave questions, comments, suggestions if you want me to do another video on maybe like dyeing Pet G or painting it, you know, painting the inside versus the outside, seeing how it works. Leave a comment, let me know, and I will see you guys in the next video. And don't forget, if you like what you see, subscribe, thumbs up, share it with your friends. Every bit helps.